Hey, what's going on today, everybody? Back for a little more Hearthstone. Let's go! Let's check out what's going on right here. Let's see. So this got nerfed by 1 mana. Alright, this got buffed, no, this got nerfed. This isn't a buff, this is a nerf. Because it cost 4 mana instead of 3. I don't think anybody cares about the stats. It was a 3 mana, 2/4. Now it's a 4 mana, 3/5. Whenever a minion dies, refresh a mana crystal. Of a nerf. But this is wild card anyway, right? Like, I don't think that people are paying that much attention to wild. Some people are still playing it. Got buffed it from 7 mana to 6. Makes it a little better, still not that great. I don't know, maybe it does. There's a combo for this in Druid. Oh no. This got buffed. 4 mana, 2/3, 2/4. Now it's 4 mana of 3/5. This was buffed from 5 mana, 1/5s, 2/5s. A little bit of a buff. I mean, the extra attack means that maybe they kill something before they die. A little better chance they can kill things. You control the board and tempo a little bit. This lost durability for the jungle gem. Kind of a big deal because that's a lot of damage, you know. So it's 6 damage plus the 1. So yeah, minus 7 damage. 7 damage can make a difference. Deal 7 to a random enemy. Feels slightly better this way. A little bit of a buff. This was 6 mana. Oh, the card is now 5. Draws elementals. Splits them. Alright. Cast 8 spells. Open the Waygate, cast 8 spells that didn't start in your deck. Time Warp. Now the reward is once per game. Now the reward is once per game. You cannot, play the reward multiple times to take multiple turns anymore. That is huge for wild. Anybody playing that quest? That's huge. That quest is basically unplayable now. That's huge. This, I really like this. Manufacturing error. All 3 cards. Your deck has no minion. They cost 3 less. That Valet is one of the cards. Sunset Valley is one of the cards that this could draw because that's in the deck. And this is Valet is a kind of a double standard there. We'll get into that. So the manufacturing error, that feels much better at 5 mana instead of 6. And play on curve, you can get the draw, getting the removal at a better price, and be able to do more things. That's a great buff right there. Really like that. Sunset Valley. But like I was saying, that's a double standard because for cards like Manufacturing Error, that's a buff. For other cards, for Arena, this is a buff. But for anybody that was playing Tendril Shaman or Tendril Warrior, this is a big nerf because now Tendril Warrior and Tendril Shaman are unplayable. The ultimate play is to play up to the 10 cost spell and then recast Sunset Valley several times in a row. I can't do that no more. I can only cast Sunset Valley once now. That's a big deal. I'm happy. I love to see it, I don't want to get shot in the face 1,000 times while my opponent makes random 10 cost minions. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I don't know about you, but it's not what I want to do. So let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good nerf. That makes Tendril Shaman and Tendril Warrior unplayable. Tendrils are no longer a problem on ladder. I like it. Once per game, summon 8 dragons. Take an extra turn. This was already once per game, but it increased the number of dragons, which means that you have to hold your board that much longer. You have to play more dragons, and it just makes this quest that much worse. Like, it's not a quest, but it's kind of a quest, right? You're playing 8 dragons for a reward. So it's not an official quest, but still, you're playing a card, playing certain cards to get a reward. This is huge because deal 1 damage, repeat for each dragon you're holding. So for Dragon Priest and other cards, this is huge. You need the removal. Dragon Priest isn't really running a lot of removal, who are using trade value for most of it. And you don't want to have to trade your board away. You want to have your board so that when you replay your turn, when you get an extra turn, then you're able to push that damage for lethal. That's the ultimate play for that deck. This is also really good because this also buffs Dragon Priest a little bit because, you have a minion that gets +1/+1 for every minion overhealed with Battle Cry, and then you also have minions that draw with overheal. So being able to get an extra heal out there could be a big deal. So Dragon Priest, the main card got nerfed a little bit, but these 2 cards got buffed for Dragon Priest. They're not. They fly off the shelves isn't specifically for Priest. I don't know what it is for. The other card, it's a nice buff. This probably sees play in other decks too. So let's go to the next one. What else we got here? After you summon a pirate, summon a copy of it that attacks a random enemy and dies. And this was 6 mana. So yeah, that feels pretty good. I don't know how good this deck really is going to be for Rogue, but it helps. That does help. And then this to go with it, for Rogue also. Next minion you play this turn has its stats set to 5. That could be a big deal. 3 mana, 15/15. No, you can't make the 15/15 over 1 turn, but it's still a lot of stats your opponent has to deal with. It could be a 1/1 gaining +4/+4. It could be a 0/1 gaining +5/+4. Death Rattles trigger twice last 3 turns. I don't think that's really a thing for standard. Maybe it does something for wild. I don't know. This is huge. Hagatha, the Fabled. Draw 2 spells. Cost 5 or more. Transform them into slimes that cast spells. This could be a thing, both for standard or could definitely be a thing. This card is in Arena right now. That's a pretty decent little buff. Nerf. Next, draw a card next turn. Your nature spells cost 1 less. Bit of a nerf. This was kind of a mediocre draw anyway. Now it's probably doesn't see much play anymore. Was being played at 2 mana. At 3 mana, it might break the card. I don't know. Flash of Thunder, deal 3 damage to all enemies. Cost 1 less for each nature spell you've cast this turn. So it was 5 mana, now it's 6. That makes it slower, makes it harder for you to play your opponent's board, making your opponent, or making you wait an extra turn to remove things. Might be a huge deal. I don't know. It's a kind of a big nerf right there. Deal. Destroy your deck. In 5 turns, destroy the enemy hero. So now this takes an extra turn for Wheel of Death to go off. And I mean, making you find a way to survive after you've already blown up your deck turn could be a big deal. I don't think this is even playable anymore, honestly. I mean, that's my take on it. I don't think the Wheel of Death is even playable anymore. Now, Imprisoned Horror, it costs 1 less for each damage you've taken on your turns this game. I mean, it was a 5/5, now it's a 4/4. Maybe it still sees play. I mean, you have to balance out how much damage you're taking to how much heals you have and so on, how much tempo you're getting on board. Makes a difference. It's definitely. But I don't know, if you're playing that kind of deck where you're taking damage on your turns, then I mean, just hero power, take 2 damage to draw a card is slow for this. You're never waiting until late game to play a 4/4, right? At 9 mana. That's just too slow. So if you're playing that kind of deck, then maybe this is just playable anyway. Summon 2 copies of demons in your deck. 8. That got a little buffed, costs a little less mana now. Was 9 mana? For Crane game? It's a nice little buff. I don't know how good this card is. I don't think this still sees play. It's seeing play in Arena. Or playing it in Arena. So it's slightly more playable now. I mean, in Arena, that's kind of a big deal, right? Because you're not just having a deck full of demons. You got demons, they're probably giants. Alright. Forge of Wills. Summon a copy of this minion with its stats, give it rush. Summon a copy of a minion with its stats and gain rush. Was 3 mana, now it's 4. I mean, it's slower now. That definitely slows it down, but and that's another thing. Like 4 mana card, summon a feat with stats equal to your hand set is 4 mana. So you can't. Before you would play Forge of Wills on turn 3, and then on turn 4 play the and then give it rush to kill a thing, and you have a giant taunt. You can't do that no till. I mean, unless you have a coin. If you have a coin, you save the coin, then you can coin out Forge of Wills on turn 3 and then play the card on turn 4, right? Don't have the coin, you're waiting. Kind of a big deal, I think. Shuffle TNT into your opponent's deck. When drawn, blow up a card in their hand, deck and board. So now you can't spam draw your own TNT. It doesn't go in your deck. It goes in your opponent's deck. You don't have a way to make your opponent draw, then yeah, it definitely slows down the TNT big time. No question. I like this nerf. I don't want my hand blown up. I don't want my board blown up just automatically. Slowing that down, I think it's a big deal. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's a big deal. I like it. Great nerf. Bot face. Move on to bot face. After this takes damage, get 2 random same cost. Now 412 instead of a 310. I think it was a 310, right? I don't think this makes it any more playable. Thing that's gonna make it more playable, if Blizzard was trying to make this more playable, the thing that makes it more playable is its mana cost, not its stats. You're never waiting till turn 9 to try to get some minis. That's just not the play. Not my play anyway. I don't know, maybe it's somebody else's. I think this is still kind of unplayable at 9 mana. It's not doing enough. You know? I mean, even maybe at 8. I don't think it's even that playable at 8 mana, right? Like, what would make this playable? Like, maybe, like a 3/5, 5 or 6 mana 3/5 would make it really playable, really doable. Then all of the removal there is on ladder now, then, you know, somebody like Warriors dealing 1 damage to it and then destroy a damaged minion, you know? And they have a couple different ways to do that. So I don't think the stats matter, really. You know, you're not getting 100 minis out of it, no matter how much health it has, 9 out of 10 times. Alright. This is a big deal. These are 3 big deals right here. Trial by Fire, summon a 1/1, 5 1/1, summon 5 1/1s with Rush. When one dies, give the others +1/+1. Was 6 mana, now 5 mana. I mean, was 6 mana, now 7 mana. Now, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. You know, you're having, again, with all 3 of these cards, all 3 of these cards have removal. All 3 of these cards, you're having to wait an extra turn to remove. That might mean the difference between winning and losing, waiting an extra turn to be able to clear things. Especially by turn 6, 7, and 9. Sanitize. Now, instead of gaining 3 armor, it was Forge, gain 3 armor. Now it's Forge, gain 4 armor. So for 1 more armor, you're paying an extra mana. That's a major nerf. For 1 mana, then you can gain 2 armor. For 0 mana, 6 armor. Card for that. If you have no armor, this is free. 6 armor. So paying 1 mana for 1 armor, that's a major nerf. To have it cost more. Major nerf. Makes it really hard, much harder to clear. You gotta wait an extra turn. And in that extra turn, you could die. Reno is a big deal here. 8 mana. And at 8 mana, when Reno was 8 mana, just that alone, the mana cost, then you had enough to play the Reno, remove your opponent's board, and then Hero Power in the same turn. And Hero Power could draw a card, could deal 1 damage to deal 2 damage, deal 1 damage to all other enemies, could draw a card. It could summon a random 3 cost minion, could gain 4 armor. That did a lot, you know, you get that extra Hero Power in the same turn you Reno. It was helpful. Can't do that anymore. Not only that, Battle Cry, your deck started with no duplicates. If your deck started with no duplicates, empty the enemy board and limit them to 1 space for a turn. So your Wheel Lock was playing a ton of duplicates. They were playing every duplicate in the deck was like basically duplicates, except the Reno. You know. And the Reno and the legendary 15-15, right? Plus the Wii. But yeah, I mean, it was playing all the dupes. If their deck started with dupes, don't have text no more. I don't think the wheel is very doable without dupes. If it didn't start with dupes, they were deleting their deck to get rid of the dupes. Now it has to start with no dupes. Reno's unplayable for wheel lock now. I think that's a big deal. I like it. I don't like that Reno. I like that it's not for wheel lock no more, but I don't like that it costs 9 mana. I think it should have stayed 8 mana and kept the if your deck started with no dupes text, making it 9 mana. I'm not a fan of that part. Alright, this is a great buff. Deal 1 Aftershocks. Deal 1 damage to all minions 3 times. Cost 1 less if you cast a spell last turn. Before it was cost 2 less. If you cast a spell last turn, it would cost 2 less the next turn. Now it costs 1 less. So it still can only go down to 3 mana without another mana cheat. Unless you have another way to cheapen the card, then it can only go down to 3 mana. But still, being able to play this without casting a spell out for 4 mana, that's a great buff. That helps a little bit, helps you get removal. I like it. It's a good buff. Snake Oil major nerf because with Sith Mage, specifically with Sith Mage, then Snake Oil 0 mana, and after you cast all the spells, it was right around 16 damage. After you had all the different spell schools and everything, a little bit more or less, but usually right around 16 damage per Snake Oil. And that's lethal by itself. Just Snake Oil for free, so they were reverbing the Sif and playing the Snake Oil. That's 9 mana. Sif 6 mana, Reverberations 3 mana, and then you only had 1 mana left to damage your opponent's face, but the Snake Oil is free, so you could cast 2 Snake Oils plus a 1 mana card, and it was running the 1 mana damage card air spell. So that's not doable no more. They broke that combo. I love it. I don't want to be OTK'd. Gunslinger, Gatekeeper. No, Gaslit. Gaslit, Gatekeeper. Excuse me. Shuffle your hand into your deck. Then draw that many cards. It was 3 mana, now it's 4 mana. It slows it down. This is still playable. It slows it down, but it still has the same effect. If you're looking for a combo, this still is playable. It slows down combos and stuff, though, for sure. And then this. Let's see. After you summon a pirate, give this and a minion plus 1 attack. Give them this and the minion plus 1 attack. So instead of before, I think this only gave the pirate summoned plus 1 attack. Now it gives this and the pirate summoned plus 1 attack. That's kind of a big deal, right? So now this can, if you've just somehow, if some miracle, for some miracle, if this thing lived for a turn, then next turn you play some pirates, you buff your board, and you get to go face with it for a bunch of extra. I don't know if it ever lives a turn, but if it somehow it did, it's a decent buff either way. I mean, if your opponent has to trade not to remove it, then at least it has a better chance to kill what was traded into it. Exclusive Poisonous Rush. I know, no Rush. Poison. Exclusive Poisonous Reborn. and it got +1 health. I mean, that's fine. This is fine. This is part of Zilliax. I guess it's fine. Alright. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check me out on twitch.tv/ShadowDragonV78. Link on the channel. Hope to see you soon.